Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Monday, September 22nd, 2025. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are available absolutely free through the tireless efforts of Dr. Michael and Jeannie Rice on the website at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the two words that say Start Here in the upper left-hand corner, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of the book contains a narrative description and explanation of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet, and it's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 21 years now to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships, and to turn any negative emotional experience I have into part of the infallible guidance system that each and every one of us has been given. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click the link, download it, print it off, copy it as often as you'd like, and use it over and over again, absolutely free. You can also download from that page a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one, where people have been stepped through the worksheet process. And if you choose to listen to them even repeatedly, they can serve as a powerful tutorial for you to help you get maximum benefit from these tools in the shortest amount of time possible. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. And if you choose to do that before you're done typing the word forgiveness, you'll see the glowing heart icon. If you tap on that, it will open up and let you download a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, contains an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and it contains a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. And we help people do all of that soon and often, primarily because it tends to improve the quality of people's lives the more they actively apply these tools in their lives. And secondarily, it tends to prompt comments, questions, answers, and testimonials. If you have any of those to share with us, we'd appreciate you doing so. You can email me at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org, or you can email Jeannie at jeanie@whyagain.org. That's whyagain.org. And if we get a question or a comment from you through the email, we'll address it on the internet show, and then as time allows, send you a notification about what day and time that occurred, so you can listen back to the archives for your feedback or input. Or you can join us live if you're available from 11 to noon Central Time most of the weekdays. We're here on Zoom. If you go to zoom.us and either call in one of their phone numbers that they list or open a browser window and then just type in the meeting ID number, 853-2357-4173. 853-2357-4173. And if you're doing it through the phone lines, then once you're on, you'll be using *6 to mute and unmute yourself. Toggle in and out of mute. So we have plenty of time for comments and questions. I believe what had happened in the last time when I was doing some reading, I was reading from the book of the latest book from Guy Finley, the Book of One. One love, one life, one journey. And I don't believe I've read it here on Mindshifters Radio, so I'm going to read a little bit, see if this catches people's interest. This book is written for all who have begun to realize that this world is not enough, or said otherwise, that they have a need for something that life, the way they have known it, cannot give them. Nothing they've been able to imagine, let alone attain, has the power to fill this role in their soul. Each and every page in this book is like a thread in a great tapestry, revealing one by one a stunning vision of another order of life that's hidden in plain sight. This book is intended to help you see what perhaps 1 in 10 million seekers ever gets to see, as follows, these things. Number 1, hidden within and yet in plain sight of all of us, there dwells a divine order of being. As Christ spoke of it, this celestial light doesn't just go before us to make the crooked places straight, but it awaits us within us. And whatever longing we have to know something of its love is no different than its longing for us to share in its timeless life. So there is this thing that is in you, this connection to the divine, this connection to your source. And there's a biblical passage that says that this force will go before you, making the crooked places straight. But what he's pointing out here is that there's a yearning to connect and to be consciously connected from both sides of this equation, both from the creator that created you and from you as the creation and co-creator. He writes, if you're one of these fortunate souls who has felt this kind of indefinable longing, then this book was written just for you. As you're about to discover, the Book of One is filled with a soul-stirring, seamlessly interwoven set of ideas that have the power to change everything about your life. Page by page, you will be helped to remember, realize, and reclaim your relationship with a fearless order of love, along with the freedom that it alone can give. Further still, and as part of this book will help you see the following. Not only have these great and timeless truths always been with you, but they've always been a part of you. These ageless teachings, along with the healing lessons they convey, share common themes that reflect ageless principles, higher laws that don't just connect all human beings, but that once realized, internalized, and actualized, these laws would make it impossible for us to hurt one another, where instead of a world flooded with fears and tears, compassion would rule, and kindness would be the coin we treasure above all. This unique collection of essays calls upon quotations from sages, both ancient and modern, to help readers see through the veils of time, the shadows of empty social and religious promises, and to see through them so that their eyes are newly opened, that they might also catch a glimpse of an eternal truth. All that is true and good and right has forever resided in their own heart and mind. Just imagine how the world would change if everyone was awakened to realize this healing truth. There is and has always been a love that, quote, casts out all fear, close quotes, and that at the same time it frees us from the painful illusion of separation. In summary, each and every page of this book is dedicated to revealing a single great realization whose importance cannot be overstated. There is but one seeker, one search, and one sacred beloved behind all that we see and experience as our life. In other words, the relationship that our heart of hearts longs for already exists. May you be intrigued, nourished, and even healed by the teachings you find spread through the pages of this special book. Enjoy the journey. So this is a book by Guy Finley and Dr. Dickstein. The first chapter is titled New Beginnings, and Guy Finley puts one of his quotes here at the beginning of the chapter. Reality is renewal itself. This means that as we learn to surrender ourselves to the source of life, life that never stops starting over, so are we empowered to see that whatever seems a lost opportunity is really the same as a new opportunity being revealed. Guy Finley. He writes, unlock the invisible source of all new beginnings. There's one thing that most of us long for, and that is a new beginning. Doesn't it feel as though we carry so much baggage with us? Old pains, resentments, fears, insecurities, all based on past experiences that continue to live on in our minds and imaginations. Wouldn't it be wonderful to leave all that behind and just start over? Released of that burden? There'd be no carried over pain or limitation. We could step forward into life without the shackles of these negative expectations. Our hearts would then open up to new possibilities. It's what we say we want. But the catch is, haven't we said it 1,000 times and yet nothing truly changes? Unfortunately, in most cases, nothing has changed at all. How many times have we entered a new career, moved to a new place, started a new relationship, and yet, isn't it just a matter of time before we find ourselves back to the same kind of life? The outer circumstances may be different, but we still feel the same sadness, the same anxiety, the same sense that something is missing. We still suffer from the same hair-trigger emotions, the kinds of problems we face that are basically the same. So is real change possible? Can our lives ever be new? Guy Finley says, the answer is a resounding yes. And the key to experiencing this newness has been given to us by the great sages for millennia. They have revealed to us a mistake we all make that guarantees we won't succeed at making genuine change. The mistake is that we try to change our lives from the outside in. But the change must start from the inside out, from within our own nature. It's all an inside story. And that is why it just can't work to simply change our weight or our job or our significant other. We ourselves must change to our very core. It is the self that looks out at the world, defines it, and reacts to it that actually creates the life we experience. So to change events and to change the life we lead, we must start by changing ourselves. When we are new inside, everything on the outside will be new. Here's a taste of ancient and modern wisdom that stresses this very point. Lao Tzu says, quote, "If you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. If you want to eliminate the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is dark and negative in yourself. Truly, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self-transformation." Then they quote Rumi, where he said, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself." Then he quotes the Dalai Lama as saying, "Human life changes," or this is Leo Tolstoy, "human life changes not from the alteration of external forms, but from the internal work of each man upon himself." Leo Tolstoy. And then the Dalai Lama. "Our problems, both those we experience externally, such as wars, crime, and violence, and those we experience internally, such as emotional and psychological suffering, these problems will not be solved until we address this underlying neglect of our inner dimension. That is, this is why the great movements of the last 100 years and more, things like democracy, liberalism, socialism, and communism, this is why they have all failed to deliver the universal benefits they were supposed to provide. Despite all these wonderful ideas, a revolution is called for, certainly, but not a political, not an economic, or a technical revolution. We've had enough experience of these during the past century to know that a purely external approach will not suffice. What I propose is a spiritual revolution. Spiritual revolution. All these, Dr. Michael Rice, Guy Finley, Dale Allen Hoffman, Byron Katie, all these people know. It's an inside job. It's all smoke and mirrors. So Guy Finley goes on and writes, so what is the way that we make this kind of change? Real change begins with a process of self-discovery, embarking on an inner journey. And it's the same journey for all of us. So with these thoughts in mind, let me help you see a great secret and how to share in the timeless wisdom it wants to share with you. There is no moment in passing time that isn't a flower. Just as surely as sunlight and rain and earth meet in some vine and produce a flower out of it, just as surely as that takes place on the earth, it is never not taking place in heaven, and never not expressing itself on this earth. And if that's true, which it is, then that means we have within us something that can see every last one of these new flowers. And if we are present to its appearance, we are as new as the flower that has come, which means in turn that anytime any part of us looks at some pending moment and standing there, we feel like what we are being asked to do is, quote, old stuff, close quotes, as if you've done that before, we may be assured of the following. It isn't the moment that's old and boring in that moment. Rather, it is an old unconscious nature, a lower level of ourselves that often feels that way about life. But what that part of ourselves can't see about itself, we can. We can take a step back and see, oh, it's actually seeing a reflection of itself. This old mechanical level of mind, churning away at the negative thoughts, thinking it's being self-protective, is not there for our benefit, is not helping. And it is the thing that's making the moment look old and boring because it's stuck in a rut of its own thinking. The book goes on, no such, quote, old and boring, close quotes, moments ever exist. It's a false sense of self that literally keeps reliving its own dreams about life, calling them reality itself. Its only power is to darken any moment, is only there because we are unaware of its conclusions and our unconscious identification with them. But if we wake up and we make that identification with them conscious, now we've got something we can deal with. The more we awaken to this false view of life, the more new will our relationship with life be. This isn't a fanciful idea. You will be new. You will be the vine. Everything that falls off the vine is new to the vine. Everything that grows on the vine is new to the vine. The vine doesn't care. Its contentment is not in what was or what will be. The vine's contentment is in the moment and the fact of its life, moment to moment. What a tremendous gift it is to be a human being. To even glimpse something like this above idea sets the stage for an understanding that never grows old because it is ceaselessly being renewed. Which means once its wisdom is awakened within you, so will you forever be renewed. He goes on. Planting a garden takes work. However, the promise of an abundant harvest fills the gardener with happy anticipation. It would be nice to be able to wake up the next day and enjoy the garden's bounty, but we all know life doesn't work that way. Now comes the long wait with all of its stages. First, the tender shoots appear, and then the soft green leaves and lovely blossoms, which in turn give way to the baby fruits and vegetables that may take weeks or months to grow and ripen. It's a long process that has been playing itself out since the beginning of time, and the gardener must develop patience. To lose patience and neglect the garden will bring disaster. It is the same when it comes to our inner growth. It takes work and patience before we can see any kind of results. And the changes that come may be so subtle we hardly notice them at first. Nevertheless, one day there's a little more understanding, a little more compassion for others, a little more resilience. And over time, by tending to our own inner garden, we begin to live a more authentic life. Here is some inspiring wisdom that comes to us down through the ages that reminds us to keep up with our inner work and let the beautiful process of self-discovery and self-transformation unfold in its own time. He quotes Plutarch, saying, "What sort of tree is there which will not, if neglected, grow crooked and unfruitful, but which will, if given right attention, prove to be productive and bring its fruit to maturity?" Then he quotes Epictetus, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." Quotes William Law as saying, "The only useful question in this matter is this: how a man may know that he is in the way of regeneration, that he is spiritually alive and growing in the inward, a new man." Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "All our progress is an unfolding, like the vegetable bud. You have first an instinct, then an opinion, then a knowledge, as the plant has a root, a bud, and fruit. Trust the instinct to the end. Then you can render no reason." Trust the instinct to the end, even though you can render no reason. Like, that's part of the forgiveness pattern where I say, I'm going to trust that whatever shows up is part of what I need to see to heal and move forward, even if I have no idea how. And put my conscious logical mind on the side. I'm not trying to figure it out. The book goes on and says, "The beautiful truth that shines through all these quotations is that there is a process of development. It is known, and though it may sometimes seem not to be happening at all, we must never turn away if we wish to be transformed into our own highest nature. Just to strengthen the lesson, the seed of greatness is sown in an instant. But in this world of ours, everything great takes time to grow. This means that patience, mingled with persistence, is the special nutriment and sustains all things. Therefore, should we wish to win the great life, we need only add equal measures of quiet watchfulness to our spiritual willingness, and a great goodness cannot help but flourish within us. It's in you, it's going to be there, it's going to blossom. All you have to do, again, this is the same message that comes out of Course in Miracles and Way of Mastery. All you have to do is get everything that's unlike that loving energy out of your system, or at least stop identifying with it. Stop clinging to it. So he finishes up that section with this paragraph. So do not give in to discouragement if you are not seeing the results within yourself that you look for so eagerly. Change doesn't happen overnight. However, the inner journey is a great adventure that yields rewards all along the way. Savor every bit of it, even the parts that involve the kind of self-correction that leads to true self-change. So the kind of self-correction that leads to true self-change, that's the kind of stuff where Michael Rice would say, this is not Dr. Feelgood. However these dis-ease energies, these disintegrative energies, however they felt going in, they're going to feel that way coming out. So here's a secret to self-transformation, embracing change. He writes, there are so many different aspects of change. Yes, we think of change in the spring and we welcome new signs of the budding of life, but what about the changes of autumn? Do we welcome the coming of greater darkness as our life settles down for its long winter's nap? It's all a metaphor for our own experience of life. Some changes are welcomed, some are pushed away. But the great sages have told us that all changes are important and valuable. The changes in the fall allow the earth to prepare herself for the coming spring, and the changes in the spring hearken to the natural balance of change that we'll see in the fall. These alternating cycles of growth and pulling back are natural to the earth, and they're natural to us as well. We can't just embrace the things that we like. We must embrace them all. This was that Guy Finley quote the past couple of weeks. I think I mentioned this one where he says, it's not possible for you to honestly say that you love life at the same time that you don't want some part of it. It's a package deal. Guy goes on, but we must do more than just embrace the changes that come to us. For the growth and transformation of our inner being, we must actively seek the experiences and self-revelations that bring the changes that we may not like at first, but that prepare our inner ground for the eventual changes of spiritual springtime. Here are some quotations that show how the value of change has been lauded by the wise since time immemorial. Marcus Aurelius wrote, loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. Johann Goethe writes, life belongs to the living, and he who lives must be prepared for changes. And then there's a quote by Dr. Maurice Nicole. I imagined the unity of being could be reached within the customary state of consciousness. I believed, in other words, that a radical change of being could take place as one was merely through some adjustments. So something about this isn't reading clearly for me, so I'll begin again. I imagined that unity of being could be reached within the customary state of consciousness. I believed, in other words, that a radical change of being could take place as I was, merely through some minor adjustments. This is probably what most of us think, for we do not realize that in order to change anything in ourselves, everything else must change, lest by trying to change one thing, we create wrong results in other directions. Change in being is not a patchwork process. Guy Finley writes, if we want a better life, if we want to be different, we have to undergo change. And we can't choose those changes. The real changes come when we suddenly see ourselves as we are, when we see that we ourselves have been doing what has been making us unhappy. These revelations are not meant to hurt us, but to transform us. We must learn to both want to change and then be willing to accept the facts that capital L light shows us for the purpose of bringing about that change. This has been the experience of sincere seekers across the ages. We can all join them in this great awakening. So there has to be a willingness to embrace change. I remember the Greg Hamilton, I think it was, they were talking about a retreat center that I think he went there for 11 years, and they discovered that everybody wanted change, everybody talked about change, everybody was excited about change, I mean, come on, they rearranged their lives and they went there to that retreat center to try and make things happen. Of course they wanted change at one level, but what they discovered was they would be working at it for weeks or months or even years, and they'd get right to the edge, and their coach or their spiritual guide would say, okay, you're ready, take off. And they would say, nope, and they'd head the other direction. Because wanting change is very different than being willing to change yourself. And what they were studying in that retreat facility for years was, what is it about change? What is it about when people actually get ready and they make the change? And what they discovered was that there's a part of every person that gets it, that understands that change is inevitable, and that growth only happens with change, and that anything getting better would have to mean I have to allow change into my life. So the first thing is you get introduced to that there is a part of you that gets excited about it and embraces change and knows that that's what leads to growth and health. The second thing is you have to focus on it and practice and use skills and tools. Now that you become aware that there's this part of you that can get excited about change, you bring it to the forefront, you strengthen it, you practice with it so that more parts of you can get excited about change and comfortable with change. And the third thing they found was if you're going to do that and you're going to tap into the part of you that thrives on change, knows that change is what brings growth and life and healing, you need to be doing it in community. For whatever reason, they discovered that people just don't make these leaps for the most part when they're in isolation. But if you've been introduced to the fact that there's a part of you that can get excited about change, you are willing to practice the exercises and awareness that bring that more and more to the forefront, and you're willing to do it in some kind of a community where you're being held accountable and you're interacting with people and you're taking their feedback, your life will change for the better faster. Because there's a built-in part of us that knows change is good. Change is what leads to life expanding and extending. So we have plenty of time for comments, thoughts, questions, answers. We'll have a support group tomorrow. I'm working through several books. One of them is an up and coming Trapped in Their Script by Agatha Peters. I'm going to be interviewing her later this week. And she's from Nigeria and has a fascinating perspective and a way to try and help people who've been through trauma, because she has the perspective of having been raised in another country and having traveled extensively. She knows that a lot of what gets labeled abusive and unacceptable over here, whether it's in relationships or in parenting or in family of origin dynamics, a lot of what gets labeled abusive and unacceptable over here is common, everyday, commonplace stuff in a variety of different cultures. And so, how do you deal with people who they either come from that or they've got all that baggage in their minds, or they've got to go back and deal with that. Every time they deal with family of origin, they're going to go back into those same environments. So that's what I'm looking forward to this next Friday. And if that mentioning that sparks you to remember a book or a tape or a podcast that you really love, please forward that to me as a suggestion for the On Your Mind podcast and or for the Mind Shifters Radio that we're sitting on here today. I have another query out for Christian Sundberg. Hopefully he's returning to full health and vigor and will eventually be able to be on this show for an hour and discuss his book, A Walk in the Physical. If he waits a while, we might get back to reading it again before he gets on, but so how can we support you today? What's on your mind? I had I had several different conversations over the weekend with people who are struggling because they can't get a decent conversation, or they can't even have the space to have a conversation to sort their ideas out because people get so triggered to upset about the politics. And it's fascinating. These are people in their mid-30s, and they're aware that it's already different than it was, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. They've seen the change in their young lives already, that there seems to be no window opening for a space of civil discourse about our politics anymore. So that was fascinating. And of course, I encourage the use of the tools, and most of the people that talk to me about those kinds of things know something about the tools at some level or another. And the more I use the tools, the better my life gets. So there's the invitation. Use the tools, call us up, let us know how it's working. Excuse me, big yawn. Let us know how it's working, and let us know if you have questions. I've had a whole series of glitches with the worksheet process on the app, but the app still works, right? So I can do the worksheets, I can get the shift, and then I have a little bit less consistency with being able to send it to myself, but that's a small price to pay. Small price to pay for having that instant access to the worksheet process. Yes, indeed. So these silences work better in the support group where we've got faces we can look at, and you can tell if people are processing or thinking. no one's going to speak up, we've got about another 15 minutes. I'm going to read a little bit more in this book from Guy Finley and Dr. Ellen Dickstein. Practices to encourage the self-transformation that we know is needed. He writes, we are created not to know ourselves by what we think about, but to know ourselves within the Creator's ever-present, perfectly changing life. The challenge for us is that we're habituated to thinking about ourselves and deriving a sensation of ourselves based on the images that we consider. What happens to us when we feel that we're taking blows in life? In those moments where life is actually trying to bring us a completely new character, the opportunity is refused because we meet it with an image of what we think life is supposed to be. We think life has sent something to hurt us because we feel the impact of the change. And at the second of impact, we feel pain. The pain we feel is not because things changed, but rather because our mind has identified that moment with a certain image that is counter to how it believes life should be. We're struck by our desire and we push away what is really nothing more than an invitation to change ourselves by taking part in a turning point. Wherever we are in a universe that is always changing, turning, expanding, even though we can't see it. There are resonances, vibrations, forces, energies, things that are always moving around us. When the universe turns, we are intended to turn with it. When God's life moves, we're intended to move with that life. The purpose of that capital L life is for us to understand our life in it. The purpose of our lives is to understand the flow of life itself and our life in it. The problem is we don't understand our life in it because we sit outside of it trying to figure out what to do with what we call, quote, change, close quotes. If we want an awakened life, we must use the turning points in a new way. We can use the changing we see to bring ourselves into the Creator's life. There is no moment in which we can't see with our inner eyes that things are moving. So if we're looking with our true perception, the spiritual faculty of true perception, we'll see everything is always in motion, in change. Without trying to find a position by which to stand and understand the movement, we can live with it. We can let it talk to us. We can let it change as it would. Then we'll begin to go through what it means to have an awakened life, which means that we are that in which all these changes are taking place, rather than just a series of sensations or changes as we experience ourselves at present. In a sense, one is all of these changes, and yet one is something that is totally changeless. Because one can let go and let all of the changing take place and watch it and be brought to life through it, to live in it without thinking or fantasizing about it. You can just be in the flow. There is no moment in which the whole of the turning of the universe is not producing a corresponding turning in the soul. That corresponding turning is part of the great turning. One's life within that turning is what it means to be in true relationship with your Creator, which is what love is. The whole of relationship with change, not just selecting what changes to make in order to find something that we call, quote, love, close quotes. This is the difference between a man or a woman who looks at life and when change comes, just feels the blow versus understanding that no matter what it is that is taking place, it's part of a seasonal movement. It's part of the grand change by which a person begins to recognize at long last we are both this infinite and ever-changing movement, and we are the unchanging awareness within it. That includes everything that we might label as good or bad. We are part of the flow of life. Use the moment. Let what you see changing around you, let that bring you to awareness of the change that it is producing in you, and become the observer. Learn what it means to watch, and you'll see something that will help you understand why this life need not have fear in it, and why you are intended to discover for yourself God's life in you through that flow of life that we're calling creation, that we're calling God, that we're calling the Creator. So that is from the new book by Guy Finley and Dr. Dickstein. One love, one life, one journey. The Book of One. So we are down to our last 5 to 7 minutes. We have a little time for comment or question or observation or an answer. Thank you all for being here today. I'm grateful as always, as I mentioned in the intro. And with the current setup, we don't need to hang around until my
Dr.
client.
Tim.
Yes, Joan.
I was in my bedroom and your voice came on, and my laptop was in the other room. I'm not sure what I did to have this automatically come on, but I'm going to find out because I thoroughly enjoyed listening to your reading. The content is superb, and your voice is very comforting. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I wish I had an answer for you about your technology, but but that's interesting.
The mystery's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
That's really all I had to say, was to express my gratitude for your service.
Well, you're very welcome and deserving. I'm glad you're finding it useful, and I hope you can sort out which of your technical devices are talking at you.
Right.
All right. Blessings.
Blessings to you.
I guess we're having some technical difficulty.
What kind of difficulty, Dr. Tim? Now you seem to be frozen. Can you hear me? This is Susan B.
I can hear you, Susan.
I think it's very funny, Joan, that your machine turned itself on because it
Right,
thought you ought to hear what Dr. Tim said.
exactly. I mean,
That is so funny.
I know. Synchronicity blows my hair back.
I know. It looks as if Dr. Tim went off. Yep,
I
I guess he did. Well, how are you doing there, Joan?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Linda Westman, do you remember Linda?
Yes, I
Linda,
do. I do.
she visited me last week. She's
Oh,
amazing the way she travels all over the country in her van.
oh, it is.
She had visited Urate and Tom
Uh-huh.
and had brought me gifts from their garden. And
Oh, nice.
Tom had made some crackers from um, the Heartland cookbook. That was wonderful.
Well, that's great. Where do you live, Joan?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
She was on her way to somewhere near Atlanta.
Well, good for her. Well, guess I'm being host for a minute. Donald, I see that you're unmuted. Do you want to say something? Michael has disappeared. Tim has disappeared. No, I guess not. Well, Joan, there's certainly a lot to say and not much time left to say it in. I hope you come back onto the radio show.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I always enjoy hearing you contribute and thinking she was one of my buddies at Heartland.
I know it. I know you and Peter and and there were so many people that we got to know back then.
Yeah, it was a wonderful 40 days for me.
You did that whole 40 days. That's the
40,
amazing thing.
yes, 40 days of raw food. It was amazing.
Well, you had a lot of guts to do that. You had a lot of guts to leave your big life, and do that. Just all the stuff that might have been pulling you to not do it.
Actually, it was really easy once I made the decision. I was just excited about it.
Wow, that's amazing.
I wish we could have a reunion.
Well, we're sort of having ones on Zoom, but right, traveling is different now.
Yeah. Yeah, that Zoom class on codependence to interdependence is amazing.
Did you do it? You did it. You're doing
It's
it.
ongoing now,
Yeah,
and it's really good.
that's great.
You
Good
should
for you.
you should tune in. It's excellent.
I'm sure it is excellent. I tune in a lot to the radio show, and that's about all my schedule can handle at this point. But I'm amazed that you're doing it. It's great.
Yeah, I've been listening to you, Susan, since before I went on that Heartland retreat.
Well, I hope. I've gotten so much out of it, and I grab it, as you can tell.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's 1 o'clock, Joan, and so I know the Michael part of the show is going to come on. Are you going to come back on?
Yes. Do
Oh,
I
okay.
just wait, or do I have to do
No,
something?
you have to do it all again.
Oh, well, given that I don't know how I did it, that might take me a minute. So, okay, great. I hope I can.
I hope you can do it again.
Right. Well, it's great to hear you, Susan.
You too, Joan. Nice to connect.
Bye-bye.
Bye.